You have seen this person. They are in their 50s, maybe their 60s, but something about the way they move, the way they look at you, the way they exist in a room does not match the number. They are not young. They are something better than young. They are settled, solid, present in a way most 30-year-olds are not. You might have called it good genes, lucky hormones, expensive skincare. You would be wrong. What you were looking at had nothing to do with their body. It had everything to do with what they had built inside it. The Stoics understood something that modern culture has completely forgotten. Aging is mostly an inside job, not in the motivational poster sense, in the literal, biological, neurological sense. The quality of a person's inner life shapes how that life reads from the outside, and there are specific habits, silent, invisible, unposted, that either accelerate the erosion or slow it to almost nothing. These are 7 of them. Habit 1. They refuse to carry yesterday into today. Most people do not know they are doing it. They wake up and within minutes, yesterday's unresolved resentments, this morning's anxieties, last week's embarrassments are all already present, already speaking, already aging them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not as a spiritual exercise, as a practical instruction for survival." People who do not seem to age have developed an unusual discipline. They do not rehearse their wounds in the morning. They do not replay the conversation they lost 3 days ago. They do not carry the weight of what has already passed into the hours that have not arrived yet. This is not denial. It is not suppression. It is a practiced decision, made quietly and renewed every day, to let the past be the size it actually is, which is small compared to now. You might be thinking, I cannot simply choose not to think about things. You are right. You cannot stop the thoughts from arriving, but you can stop entertaining them as if they have rent to pay. The discipline is not in preventing the thought. It is in declining to build a room for it. That discipline, practiced over years, produces a face the world cannot easily read as burdened, because the burden is not there. Habit 2. They are slow to be offended. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being easily provoked. You have seen it on people. Years of chronic outrage, years of taking the bait, years of defending territory that did not need defending. It shows, not just in their politics or their conversations, in their face, in their posture, in the tightness around their eyes. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us but our judgments about things." People who age well are not passive. They are not indifferent. They have simply learned through long practice to interrogate the reaction before they give it permission to run. When something irritates them before they respond, they ask one quiet question. Does this actually matter? Not does it feel like it matters. Feelings are fast and often wrong. Does it actually matter? 90% of the time, the honest answer is no. And in the space between the offense and that answer, the cortisol does not spike. The inflammation does not set in. The aging does not happen. Physiologically and emotionally, people who are hard to offend are younger than people who are not. This is not philosophy. It is biology, and it starts with a single practiced pause. Habit 3. They have a private life that belongs to no one. Every person who seems ageless has something you cannot see. Not a secret, not a wound, a private world. A space that exists entirely independent of what they produce, perform, or provide for others. Seneca wrote with fierce urgency, "Vindica te tibi," reclaim yourself for yourself. The people who hollow fastest are the ones who give everything to their roles. The parent who has no self outside the parenthood. The professional who has no life outside the career. The partner who has no thoughts that are not about the relationship. They are not selfish. They are thoroughly consumed. And consumption shows. People who do not seem to age have maintained, often quietly, often at some cost, a private interior. Something they do that is not for anyone. Something they think about that no one else shapes. a room in themselves that the demands of the world have never been given a key to. You might be thinking, I do not have time for that. You are describing exactly the problem. When you have no time for yourself, you are slowly spending yourself without replenishment. And what runs out eventually shows in ways that no supplement or sleep schedule can reverse. Habit 4. They do not need to win the room. Watch someone who seems ageless in a conversation. Notice what they do not do. They do not scan the room for approval. They do not raise their voice to compete. They do not manufacture interest or perform enthusiasm. They do not need the room to confirm they exist. This is rarer than it sounds. Most people are in a constant, low-level campaign for validation that they are not even fully aware of. The campaign is exhausting. It accelerates something in the nervous system that has a direct cost on the face, the posture, the presence. Marcus Aurelius spent years ruling the most powerful empire on earth and wrote privately, "How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks." The person who does not need the room to applaud them has more energy available for everything else. Their attention goes outward genuinely because they are not simultaneously managing inward anxiety about how they are landing. People feel this. They call it confidence, presence, magnetism. What it actually is the surplus that comes from not spending yourself on approval. Habit 5. They know the difference between what is theirs to carry. There is a specific weight that certain people carry that has nothing to do with their own life. The suffering of people they cannot help. The problems they did not cause. The crises they have absorbed from news, from family, from proximity to other people's pain. Epictetus drew a line so sharp it feels almost brutal. Some things are in our control and others not. The Stoics were not saying, "Do not care." They were saying, "Do not confuse caring with carrying." You can care deeply about something without taking its full weight onto your body. People who age slowly have often had to learn this lesson the hard way. They have tried carrying it all. They know what that does. And at some point, not because they stopped caring, but because they got honest, they put down the weight that was not theirs. The person who carries only their own life moves differently, stands differently, is available in the room in a way that people who are carrying several lives are not. And that quality of presence, that particular kind of lightness, is what you are actually seeing when you look at someone and think, they do not look their age. Habit 6. They have made friends with uncertainty. Most aging is actually anxiety, the tightness, the vigilance, the constant low-level bracing for what might go wrong. It shows in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the way someone enters a room already half defended against it. The Stoics practiced something they called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, not to become pessimistic but to do the opposite, to visit the fear in advance, sit with it, recognize that you could survive it, and then release it. People who age well are not optimistic in the fragile sense, the kind that requires things to go well. They are something older and sturdier. They have already been to the difficult places in their mind. They know what is there. They have made a kind of peace with the uncertainty of being alive that younger, less practiced people have not yet found. That peace is not distance. It is not coldness. If anything, it makes them more warm, more present, more genuinely available to the moment because they are not bracing against it. Habit 7. They return to themselves after being pulled away. This is the one that separates the people who age gracefully from the people who merely age. Every life pulls you away from yourself. Work pulls, people pull, loss pulls, the news pulls. Some days everything pulls at once, and the question is not whether you get pulled. The question is how long before you find your way back. Marcus Aurelius returned to the same practices, the same questions, the same orientation, day after day, decade after decade. Not because he had achieved some permanent state of wisdom, but because he understood something essential. The return is the practice. Getting pulled away is not failure. Not coming back is. People who do not seem to age are not people who never get knocked sideways. They are people who have a way back, a specific, private, reliable way to return to themselves after the world has had its way with them. For some, it is silence in the morning. For others, it is a walk, a page, a prayer, a particular person, a particular piece of music that has always said, "This is you, come home." Whatever it is, they protect it. They return to it. And that returning, practiced over years, produces a continuity of self that reads, from the outside, as remarkable. None of this is about looking younger. The Stoics would have considered that an embarrassingly small goal. It is about something the Emperor Marcus Aurelius and the former slave Epictetus and the enormously wealthy Seneca all arrived at through entirely different lives. That the quality of a human being is not determined by what happens to them. It is built, quietly and deliberately, through how they choose to meet each thing that happens. The 7 habits you just heard are not a protocol. They are the natural expression of a person who has taken their inner life seriously, who has decided, at some point, that how they are on the inside matters more than what they appear to be on the outside. That decision produces something the world immediately recognizes and cannot easily explain. Not youth, something far more rare and far more lasting. You already know which of these 7 is furthest from where you live right now. You knew it within the first 30 seconds of hearing it described. That distance is not a problem. It is the address of your next work. And the work, as always, begins tomorrow morning.